Hey guys, it's Walk, and today we're going to be talking a little bit about Counterburn. Yep, that's right, another pre-modern deck. This one should be pretty sweet. This is definitely one I just came up with today, and by today I mean the day that I'm recording this, so I came up with it and then recorded it and whatever. Normally these things take me a little bit longer to do, but this one I was just like, oh man. It was just like just sudden inspiration, you know. So I was like, oh, let's do this, let's do this. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Counterburn. Definitely should be interesting. Okay, so this is basically an old deck, basically kind of like the old Counter Hammer, Counter Phoenix, or whatever decks from around like Mirage, Blockish. I think there are like some proto Counterburn decks that are from like the first couple years of Magic, um, but they're not. I don't think they're quite exactly the same thing. At least like not exactly what we would recognize. I think they're a little bit more like not specifically just counter spells and burn spells. They're sort of just like you know it's playing a lot of different stuff. A lot of them are like, oh, here's a bunch of lightning bolts, and here's some counter spells, and then like a psionic blast or two, and a fireball or whatever to dump your colorless mana into or whatever. So I don't think they were quite the same, but really I think sort of the idea of counterburn really crystallized around the Mirage block decks. So around that time, a lot of times these older versions did end up playing creatures. Like I said, notably Shard Phoenix was a good one, but I'm not going to play any of them for the most part. There are some that are kind of interesting and good to play. Some notable ones I'm not playing, but yeah. So I mean, this one's sweet. I mean, hopefully you got a beer. I mean, this one's not gonna be too long. Maybe just get something to drink anyways. Who knows how long I'll go. We'll just keep talking forever and ever. Um, yeah. So the other big thing is card advantage. Lots of different card advantage thingies. Sometimes it's just effects stapled onto burn spells or counter spells or whatever, or just actual card advantage stuff. I mean, there's a lot of little bits and pieces of card advantage all over the place. This deck is pretty slow though, but it's definitely pretty based in red pill. Probably the most based in red pill deck. You're probably thinking like, oh, can a deck really be based in red pill if it plays like counterspell and mana leak? I mean, yeah, I can kind of see like how you would think that, but actually, in all actuality, it's super based in red pill because you're using it for awesome stuff. So, I mean, look, you just gotta go with me. If you use counterspell to buy a couple extra turns so you can play a big earthquake, I mean, think about it, right? It makes perfect sense. You just gotta go with me on this. Okay, so basically here is sort of what we got. Got some counter magic, got some burn spells, a little bit of draw, and some random stuff, random removal, and of course the land. So basically, mostly just like I said, counter magic, actual counter spell, mana leak, and then forbid and dismiss. Forbid just as a late game way, especially with Whispers of the Muse to well, I mean, you can kind of it's sort of like a soft lock. Um, then of course dismiss. Dismiss is just another way to counterspell and draw a card. Kind of nice. You don't really. I mean, this kind of thing is pretty nice. Like turn 4+. You know, when you have 4 lanes in play, you're not just sort of sitting on it. Because most of the deck, of course, isn't really like a tap out thing. So a dismiss, copy of dismiss seems fine. Then for the burn spells, of course, Lightning Bolt, Incinerate, Fire Ice, of course, very good, and then just a whole bunch of random shit. Like a lot of this deck is just like me wanting to play all of the different counter spells and burn spells and things that I've seen play in this archetype through the years. Um, but man, there's a lot of different cards, and so I was like, shit, I don't really know what I want. I mean, stuff like Hammer Bogarden is incredible and really, really good, but man, that's a slow card advantage engine. It's awesome though, so it's one of is good. Urza's Rage is fine as like a 3 mana 3 damage spell, not the best. You know, Hiamabushi's Flame isn't exactly exciting, but late game is pretty sweet. It's a big, huge, uncounterable, undeally damageable or unpreventable thing, right? Prof Bolt, again, another good card. It's Impulse plus Lightning Blast, I think, stapled together. Firebolt is just another random, like, card advantage kind of thing. Fireball, because it's probably better than another Earthquake, because you can go straight to the head, or you can also use it as just like a pseudo mass removal spell. Earthquake because it's awesome. Starstorm is sweet because it's instant speed, and if it's bad, you can cycle it. So yeah, lots of different reasons for these. I don't know, I just thought it'd be kind of sweet. So I figured I'd probably just try and play them all first before I figured out what would be good or bad or whatnot. Then of course we have to draw stuff. Again, Fact or Fiction of course is amazing here. Just draws you tons of cards. It's great. Whispers of the Muse is also very, very good as a one-of because if you're casting it with buyback, you're not really casting too much else. But Whispers of the Muse is very, very good. Future Sight is awesome. You just tap out, jam that thing, and you just start drawing tons and tons of stuff off the top. Especially when you have, sure you have reactive cards that can like kind of sort of stop you. But you have so much burn and stuff that you can just get tons of card advantage off it. So Future Sight's great. Another really, really powerful one-of that's just like totally, totally awesome once you untap with it. Then the miscellaneous stuff, Capsize, Disc. So Capsize, again, just another, it's almost like a pseudo win condition. It kind of answers anything. And then also actually does have a little bit of synergy with Navenral's Disc, because Navenral's Disc, if you guys have ever played Commander, you're familiar with this interaction, because Navenral's Disc doesn't have you sacrifice it like O-Stone would. So you can actually capsize with buyback on your disc, and the disc goes back into your hand with the ability on the stack. Pretty sweet, right? Pretty sweet. Okay, then we have Islands, Mountains, Shivan Reefs, and then Thawing Glaciers. We'll go into the Thawing Glaciers a little bit later, but that's again another part of the card advantage. And the sideboard is all pretty much stuff you would expect. So yeah. So like the Shivan Hellkite's totally random. I have no idea what I'd really want to play in the sideboard other than like some number of Crypts and Elemental Blasts and a little bit of Artifact Hate and stuff. But the Shivan Hellkite is sweet because it's a hilarious card. You can untap with it and you can just like kill a bunch of stuff, or you can just deal them a bunch of damage. Look, it has Bob Eagleton art, so I'm gonna definitely test this thing out and see if it's any good or whatever. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, most of the sideboard isn't too weird. Again, Bottle Gnomes, yeah, another creature. But Bottle Gnomes is so good against the aggressive decks that it seems hard to not run it. It's so good. I love Bottle Gnomes. I mean, I'll love it. I'll run Bottle Gnomes and everything if I can. And then Hibernation, just another random card against green decks. Definitely being able to reset their board is pretty sweet. Pretty sweet. All right, so we got all these different notable cards, some that have been somewhat important to the archetype, or just maybe stuff you aren't super familiar with. So let's look at Thawing Glaciers first and foremost. Basically, it's another mana fixer, so it lets you get, another island or mountain or whatever. But also it's basically card advantage, but it's also, it's a little bit slow, right? But that's okay. That's pretty sweet. We'll go with it. We'll take our ghetto pseudo slow fetch thing. But yeah, it's definitely pretty sweet. I'm a big fan of Thawing Glaciers. Any deck I can play Thawing Glaciers in, I'm on board. I'm all for it. And like I said, yeah, it's card advantage. So, right? Then we got Starstorm. Starstorm is just another wrath effect, instant speed, and then of course you can cycle it if it's bad, so that's kind of nice. Hammer Bogarden, like I said, this was Bogarden, not sure. Anyways, it has like 3 mana, 3 damage, and then you can pay the 5 during your upkeep to return it to your hand, which is pretty sweet. So every other turn or every turn you can buy back and cast it or whatever. Definitely a pretty sweet card. And then of course we have Whispers of the Muse. This again is another like super, I guess, famous, really old card back in the day, where blue decks were glacially slow, and they would have like Whispers of the Muse as their card drawing engine because there wasn't really anything better. So even though it was 6 mana draw card over 7 or 8 turns, it's a lot of extra cards. So it's pretty sweet. Definitely really good. It's definitely a nice effect to have as a one of. I mean, shoot, you can just cycle it, if you're constrained on mana. So it's not the worst thing in the world. But yeah, there's some of the cards that are sort of the reason why I wanted to play it. I'm like, man, I really wish I could play like Hammer Bogarden because I had one just sitting in my binder. And then same thing with like Thawing Glaciers. I'm like, oh, this has got to be good, right? And just the art on that, so sweet. All of these cards is sweet art, so can't go wrong. All right. So basically, I just like I said, wanted to play most everything. Just one of the stuff. There's a bunch of stuff I didn't play, like Ophidian or Caravex Torch or things like that. Those cards are pretty sweet. You could definitely play with them. I mean, just kind of just didn't have space. That's obviously always an issue, but yeah, lots of good stuff you could play. I mean, like even something like Morphling would be actually pretty good here, or Frenetic Afreed or something. Lots of different options. Like I said, Sideboard is just sort of whatever, really. I mean, like I said, some of the stuff is kind of set in stone. Typically, if you're playing blue and red, like I said, Elemental Blast, be playing your Tormod scripts and that kind of stuff. I mean, again, flavor to your, or I should say, season to your meta game. And then obviously, there's all sorts of interesting stuff. You can play different sort of engines like Intuition AK, or like Squee and Compulsion, or Intuition and Squee, and da. And of course, all those cards are very good with things like Merfolk Looter or Masticore. So, I mean, like I said, there's just not enough. Maybe if I was playing like 100 cards, I could probably fit all this stuff in, but yeah. So, oh well, that's okay though. Like I said, oh, and also playing a bunch of 1-0s is actually kind of nice because people just don't know what you're playing. They'll just kind of be like, I don't no idea. Like I kind of want to fit like a Force Spike and maybe a Miscalculate, things like that in there. Those kind of taxing counters really can screw up the way that people play, how they sync with stuff, so that's kind of interesting too. And of course, it's just fun to play with a bunch of 1-0s. I mean, I don't know, I think it's always sweet, just more variants, and it's always fun just to play with all your sweet favorite cards. And like I said, they all have varying pedigrees of usefulness in a lot of these style of decks. So that's cool too. Oh well. Anyways, yeah, lands again. This might be a little bit what's the word I'm looking for? Maybe not controversial, but there's all sorts of different kinds of lands. I mostly just played mana producing ones, but there's things like Quicksand, again, which is just basically extra removal, Mishra's Factory, Fairy Conclave, Gitu Encampment. These are all pretty good mainlands, so that can be pretty interesting. So those are options too. I mean, I guess you could play something like another, like Reflecting Pool for extra fixing, or just sort of smoothing out your mana mid-game. That could be nice. I mean, yeah, there's all sorts of different sideboard strategies. You can board into more creatures and stuff, with like Flame Tongue Kavu, Blood Moon, stuff like Price of Progress, just all sorts of different things. Gilded Drake, Waterfront Bouncer. I mean, it's too much. There's just too many options. How the heck am I supposed to choose? Just ridiculous. Just ridiculous. But yeah, you can do all sorts of different things, which is why I sort of like the deck so much. Is like, oh, you just do a ton of different stuff. So yeah, that's freaking it. I haven't been able to playtest this deck yet, but I'm sure it'll be super fun. Just playing all sorts of janky stuff. Should be interesting, you know. But yeah, like again, tons of options, tons of different things to do, a million different ways to build it. I mean, shoot. So yeah, that's pretty much it, guys. So yeah, so thanks for stopping by, and have a great day.